Oh, creepy robot. Yeah, there's we have been fascinated over our history, our technological, even beforehand. I think even in the 1800s, people were kind of like, a robot. You know, they're like, oh, imagine a mechanical man. It was all kinds of sci-fi written about it back in the day, and the concepts, the different thoughts of what a robot would be, is it runs the gamut, and it has for many years. I think thank you, Luby. I think the fantasy world years ago, the fantasy world of a robot was a very humanoid-looking thing. Then they tried to build it, but they didn't really have the technology. Then during the industrial period and the technology of the 60s and 70s, they realized a robot doesn't have to look like a person. You know, we need a robot to build cars. Well, what do you need? It doesn't have to have a dumb face and a fucking ass and feet if it's welding doors onto something. So they just had, you know, and then we kind of looked and go, I know it's technically a robot, but, you know, warning, Will Robinson. We want a robot. And then I remember reading many times that there's no real reason for a human-looking robot. That wasn't a bug. It was a piece of dust. There wasn't any real reason for a human-looking robot. It's not practical. But we still want to see it, you know? And then we had those Boston Dynamics, was it? Boston Dynamics? Those robots that kind of look, they don't resemble people. They have arms and legs, but it's kind of like a roll cage and it's definitely a machine, but it's doing these miraculous things. And again, there's no real human connection. The fact that it looks with the arms and legs is kind of creepy, though, and it took a few people aback. But like I said, this has been going on for years. There was pull up the robot from the World's Fair, the 1930s World's Fair. That was the funniest thing. Well, tell me, robot, what would you do? Well, I think, and it's exactly what we imagined a robot should be. They called them robots.
Electro, come here.
Now, this is 1930.
And here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, walking up to greet you under his own power.
37. At least it's white. I mean, tan. Look at this thing.
Stop.
Dude, the one leg is on a track. It doesn't bend at the knee. The other one bends at the knee. So.
You see, all I need to do is to speak into this phone, and Electro does exactly what I tell him to do.
No, it doesn't.
Sometimes. But I don't see why I'm telling Electro's story when he's perfectly able to tell his own. So let's listen and see what Electro has to say to us today.
I will kill you all.
You tell your story, please?
He doesn't have to talk like that because he's not controlling it.
Who?
Let's stop.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay, Toots.
He's
Ladies
sexist.
and gentlemen, I'll be very glad to tell my story.
And they have to talk like this. All right, enough. You can't. Here's the deal. Back then, it was hilarious. They gave us what we wanted to see as a robot. Robot. That's what Rod Serling said. It's the story of a robot. They gave us what we want to say. It has to be big, a big mechanical thing that talked in this impersonal kind of mechanical voice. But it was still, you know, the guy at the mic was leading that thing. It was under his control. So don't fear, people. No flash photography, though. You'll upset him. And that's what we wanted. That wasn't a digitized voice. It did not need to sound like this. It's a guy talking through a speaker in another microphone. And the guy going, what would you... Like, oh, he's got to talk slow so the robot understands. If he talked too fast, people might think, hey, how the fuck would you... It's like, oh, he's very deliberate in his speech. And then the robot talks back, and he walks around, and it's all mechanical. There's nothing digital in there at all. It's all analog gears and pulleys and whatnot. So we went from that expectation to, like I said, the mechanical ones at car plants and assembly lines and whatnot. And then people just started going like, it's not a robot. What was that? What was the movie with the chick robot? Machina?
Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina. Whatever. And that was like, oh, she's got a cute face, but she's obviously a robot because she got robot body. And she's kind of hot. But like that, again, watching that movie, you go, it's useless to have the face. There's no need to have a human face on it. I think we want to treat these things poorly, and it makes it hard if you have a human face on it. So, of late, they have been coming out with robots with human-looking faces and wanting them to move and act more human. So here's the latest. Okay. Now, there's no practical reason for this thing to blink, first of all. None. Let me disturb my... Is the vision even coming out of the eyes? Does it need eyes? I believe the vision can be put anywhere, more convenient than somewhere you could bash it in the side of the fucking head. The head of itself is a weakness if you're looking for a practical kind of robot. Then when it grabs the guy's hand, you can tell the guy tries to move his hand to make it look like more closely like the robot grabbed its hand. Like, oh yeah, you missed me. You missed me a little bit. The speed's not there, the amazing agility that humans have. You ever drop something and in between the thing leaving your hand and hitting your foot, you're able to go, what? Like you turn your ankle and the thing hits right where your foot would have been. And the thought of what that takes, everything that had to happen between that thing being released and you moving your foot, identifying that it happened in the first place, reacting to it in, okay, assessing, is it going to hit my foot? Once you realize that, you got to then go to solve the problem. What do I do? Then a signal has to be sent to the foot to move it in a right place where it doesn't hit. Just so much has to go on in such a quick period of time. And they just don't have that yet. They have amazing speeds with these processors. Here you go. The emotion faces. These are horrifying, by the way, but like there's no reason for it. Any kind of AI that wants to express itself through expression could do so without a face. I don't know. Oh, we're supposed to go, oh, the robot's sad? Now what? I got to fucking do something for the fucking robot? Now, is this thing on a platform like that? Can it walk? Can it just fucking walk and hold itself straight? Because I know those Boston Dynamics ones, they're flipping, they're doing fucking flips and running and shit. But even that, it looks like they really had to design this thing as a balanced mechanism. And again, we can do things as humans that just defy balance because our muscles are constantly reacting to the slightest imbalance and shit like that. It's something I don't think, not they'll ever replicate, but I think it's very difficult to replicate something so agile and so detailed. Like, I think sometimes at every little movement that you're able to make and at the speed you're able to do it, that a machine just can't do, some kind of mechanical thing. I think we really do need cyber organic mechanisms, like the Terminator, you know? He had shit machinery and stuff, but he also had blood and tissue and muscle and stuff. I don't know. I don't think a mechanical device can deliver the speed and delicate movement and agility that that people can.